Hey, Science and Society 1P50 students. My name's Ian Gordon. I'm the Brock Science Librarian. I work with faculty, staff, and students, graduate and undergraduate, in doing research, writing up papers, and helping them navigate their way through the Brock Library resources. This particular presentation and the slides are available for you, and the video you can watch at any particular time. I'll move through these, but at the end of this particular presentation, I'm going to do a database search. And you can duplicate that or learn from it just to show you how it works, and so you may be more comfortable approaching this particular task. Choosing a peer-reviewed journal article. Here's the assignment. It outlines great how to pick a paper, how to choose a peer-reviewed article. The dates are important. Don't be late. This isn't a difficult task, and you can meet these deadlines as well. So you have to pick a scholarly peer-reviewed paper. Most often, students who do this assignment in past years have a trouble picking a topic. Science is so broad. Don't venture into the social sciences. Again, that's not related to this particular course. Or even the applied health sciences or medical sciences, which is science as well, but you don't want to go there as well. Look through the lecture that you've had, or lectures. Look through the lectures that are common, materials in SCIE, and it gives you a sense of the areas that not only you should be working towards for science and society, but also topics that may come up that you may be interested in as well. It's great to pick a topic that will do the work, that you have a personal interest in, and is validated in the article and the summary that you write up as well. At any time, we're here to help in the library, but work with your professor and work with your seminar leader or TA. They're excellent people that have worked with these particular course assignments for many years and can provide expert assistance as well. When writing up, sometimes people find too many articles and they don't know how to filter the research down just to find a number or one. Hopefully we'll give you clues on how to do that. Limiting by page length. You want to find an article that's not too long. Too long is 10, 20 pages because you don't want to read it. And the person who's marking this assignment probably doesn't want to read it as well, though it may be a fascinating article. And you don't want to pick an article that's too short. It may not qualify as a scholarly peer-reviewed article. It may be a communication, a review, an opinion piece. And again, it does not fit the criteria for this particular course. So none of the databases say, I'd like to pick a paper that's between 8 and 15 pages long. You have to verify and validate that as well. Maybe one day it'll allow you to do that, but don't pick a paper too short or one that's too long. The last things people have not trouble with but need advice in is how to write up or summarize an article using a scientific lens or paradigm. I'm going to point out resources that maybe help you with that as well. So make sure you check the assignments that are listed here and the criteria, and work with your faculty, professor, and TA as well. What topic do I pick? Well, it's kind of neat. You have the flexibility of doing that. Tricky, but again, you have to pick a topic that works. What keywords and phrases do I use? English language is probably the database's language we use. It's not perfect. It's like, do I use teenager, adolescent, or high school student? What words do I use for that concept? Is it England, United Kingdom, or Great Britain? What words do I use for that concept? Well, that also happens in science. There's many other words and phrases. My suggestion is browse around, do Google searches, kind of find a topic of choice, and write down the terms or phrases that they use, but also ones that you may use as well in variant spellings. What databases do I select to get the best results? Well, I'm going to show you a number of databases you can choose to suggest one, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Where do I get help? Well, we're always here in the library to help. I'll go over those sources, but again, your faculty member, your professor, the TA or seminar leader are great resources. Here's the topic I picked, the science behind the endangerment of Canadian polar bears. Again, thought polar bears was interesting. It's science because it's biological sciences, but it could also be chemistry. It could also be toxicology, other sorts of words as well. So I went through and I did searches. I went to YouTube, I went to Google, I looked for books and articles, and these are the keywords or terms that I used. So I ORed concepts. For my first concept was polar bears. That's my population, and that's the genus species name that is used by researchers. It was probably important. So I put that to one side. The second concept I used was a smattering of terms that deal with environmental issues. Endangerment. Endangerment wasn't a great word. And I OR those together. So there's synonyms like habitat or climate change, global warming, Environmental contamination, metals like in heavy metals, and examples of heavy metals like cadmium and mercury that are found in polar bears that are under stress. So think of those words and a combination of those sorts of words. My third concept was Canada. Now, there are words that are synonyms like Canadian or Canadien or Canada's, different spellings, but Canada was my third concept. Remembering that I need to find scholarly peer-reviewed articles that are 2019 to the present. They're from scholarly peer-reviewed journals that have these articles, and it must be readable, meaning I must understand it. Makes it easier. Not too long, not too short, we talked about that. Can be at Brock University, meaning it's in our databases and you can load the PDF. And hopefully it's of personal interest. So this assignment not only is enjoyable or it's something that you like to do, but you pick a topic that meets the criteria as well. And again, remember, watch the dates. You need to do these things in a timely manner. So here's our Brock Library homepage. A number of things. Make sure you watch the news that's changing, because during this pandemic, we're open physically for some resources, but most of our resources are in digital format, so news is there as well. The other sorts of services we provide, like course readings, citation guides, how to get help, who to contact, how to search, how to set up your computer so that you can access through the Brock proxy server to get materials from off campus that are in digital format, and hours that we're open and services that we provide. One thing I'm going to show you is, beside Research Guide, is Ask Chat. It's a really great service. So Ask Chat allows you to work with a librarian most days, weekends, and nights in case you have a quick question. So you click on it and we'll move forward and show you how to, something like, this isn't working, or how do I, or can you help me with this? Ask Chat works well. But the research guides, when you click on this tab, brings up a number of research guides that are here, divided by faculty, then department, and there's a number of them. Maybe your guide is here, and you could find the librarian that relates to your particular subject area or discipline or major. If you click on science, it brings up this particular guide. So here we are, we've reached home. This is a stepping stone to everything I'm going to show you today. There's tabs here for articles, books, and ebooks. I won't show you today, but how to find books, ebooks, and textbooks and digital resources. Streaming video is really neat. Beyond YouTube, other resources that will help you, that are fun, that are entertaining, but are learning as well. Help, or to get help beyond what's listed on this particular page. And if you look carefully, my email address is on the bottom left-hand side. Email me at any time. Or book a consultation. If you click on that tab, it brings up my schedule and my availability for the day that you'd like. You click on it and find a time that works for you. Click on it, and it asks you, why do you want to meet? And you can say, hey, I need help with finding an article in Science and Society. It saves that time for you and me, and you get me for 45 minutes. We can work with Teams or Zoom or LifeSize, whatever common communication software that works best for you. So don't rely on emailing me or booking a consultation as well. On this page, there's other resources we've talked about, but right here are the slides I'm showing you today and the video that we're looking at as well. So make sure you check that out. They may also be in SCIE as well. Peer review. Lots of resources. What are peer reviewed? So here's my notes, besides what was recorded in SCIE on this particular assignment. Things you should look at. I've kind of gone over them. Again, try to meet the criteria, because no article in the databases of the millions of sources tell you this is a peer-reviewed scholarly article in a peer-reviewed scholarly journal. You have to discern that. And there's great guidelines. I always say if it smells, looks, and tastes peer-reviewed, it probably is. So you become an expert to use that filter, because that'll be important for this assignment, for this course, but other courses moving forward as well. Here's some videos and tools that you can look at as well. So make sure you check those out first. Writing and citing. There's a number of citation machines and tools that you've probably used elsewhere, style guides that may be appropriate. If you click on here, it's a list of our citation management systems. You may have never used one before, like Zotero or Mendeley, EndNote. You may have used things like that. Usually people come to me second or third year after they've discovered these and say, why didn't someone tell me about this? Or had I known? I hate doing bibliographies. Citation management systems like Zotero, which I tend to show and teach, there's workshops for them, help you to do your bibliography automatically, track and cite references for this and other assignments and courses that you do as well. You don't need it for this assignment, but it's really something that you should figure out. What citation management tool should I use going forward? There's lots of guides. Help writing, presentations, and lab reports. Digital resources I've pulled together that I found useful. You may as well. And if you go further down the page, there's a print and ebooks that can help you write reports, essays, presentations, or posters. Writing from a scientific perspective. Writing for non-native speakers of English. Writing a paper. Most of these are in electronic digital forms. Or writing science in plain English. It's a print book that you can get available, but there's alternate materials that are here as well. Also, further down the page are resources that can help you when writing a summary of a research article. These are tools, and I've found that are great. Click on one or a number of these things. It may help reinforce things you talked about in seminar or been introduced as part of this term paper assignment as well. Great stuff. Article databases. So we're here finding peer-reviewed scholarly articles using Brock's peer-reviewed scholarly databases. So check your notes. There's tools here. Again, more peer-reviewed guides that are elsewhere. Getting started, Omni search tips. Look at that because Omni is the database on our front homepage. It's the database of choice. It helps you to find books and ebooks. It helps you to find papers. It's really a one-stop shop to get started. We'll show you that as well. If you go further down the pages, there's a list of databases that you can use. Omni, Academic Search Complete, Google Scholar, Microsoft Academic, they're listed here. And at the bottom, there's a complete list of over 25 databases by subject and by discipline. You'll probably find some articles in all these databases. Certainly you'll find unique articles in some of these databases, but not others. And there's some databases where you find access or indexing of certain articles that are scholarly peer reviewed you won't find in any other databases. So it would be nice if we had one database that did all your research for you, kind of like what Omni tries to do. But we aren't there yet. There's a number of databases, and you can choose a number of these. I'll demonstrate sample searches for some of them, but I'm suggesting you use Web of Science Complete to do this assignment. We'll do that at the end. So here's Google Scholar. I searched keywords. Google Scholar doesn't allow too many keywords, but you can use the filters of not patents. Search by date, and search since 2019. If you move through the Brock proxy service, meaning our Brock library links, it'll bring you up our holdings as well. So you can look at articles by title, a bit of an abstract. You can click on them. If there's no link to things in our library, we may own it. So go back to Omni, put the title of the article in, and it's probably there. Alternately, this link here, kind of brought to us by Google, may not work and take you to the article, or may take a few links. We may have this article as well. So you have to kind of be careful. But remember your filter of what is a PAL peer-reviewed scholarly journal article. You've gone through the tutorials. You know what it's looked like. You have to identify whether it is or not. But Google Scholar is quick and dirty, and it's freely accessible. But again, move through the Brock proxy to get access to our collections. So here's an article I found. It's a review article, title, author, has all the elements. Is this scholarly peer-reviewed? And will this meet the criteria for the assignment? It's a review article. So review articles usually don't, because they don't have science. They don't produce original data. They don't build on a knowledge. But it's up to you to decide that. Two things you should always look at is look at the date range. Okay? That's always important, because sometimes even the databases fool us or do goofy things and don't pull up articles within the date range we've selected. But read through it, identify it. My sense is as you go through Google Scholar, you'll find maybe 20 articles. You'll find 5 are interesting. You'll read 3 of them, and you'll identify 2 that meet the criteria. You download them and put them to one side. Google Scholar doesn't cite articles, but you can pull the citation and you can create those, or you can just do it manually yourself. What does APA look like? Well, it's a religion unto itself, and so there's style manuals and guides. Work with your seminar leader to discern what APA edition, version, and what's appropriate. Here's Microsoft Academic. It's a new tool you've never used. It's kind of like Google Scholar. It's free, and it uses clustered searching. I won't describe what that means, but it looks at the literature in a different way. So I put in the genus scientific name for polar bear, and I put the word environmental in. It pulls up 243 records that are sorted by different ways, and you can view them differently. So here's one article, here's another, and you can look at topics, but the only filter I used was date in reverse chronology order, and I looked for journal publications. So it's a blunt instrument like Google Scholar, but it's fascinating because I found an article, and you can click on the links or the tabs or the clusters to help you find related research. It may find things differently than Google Scholar. So here's the citation in MA, as we call it. Tells you where it is, where it's from, cited references, and then here's all these subjects or clusters that they've used. You can cite the article, you can move forward, you can print it, you can download it. Here's a citation that actually works quite well. Sometimes you have to clean it up a bit because it's not correct. So use that APA filter that you know. And here's actually the cluster for the polar bears. It's kind of amazing. So they look at articles that are about it. They search for it behind the scenes and have been cited by these articles. So I pulled together a body of knowledge and hopefully cluster it by subjects. If your subject doesn't meet a cluster, you can still look for it, but it's kind of vetted by subjects and major subjects as well. Kind of neat. Here's an article I found. Is this a scholarly peer-reviewed journal article? Again, it has institutional addresses. It has article received, accepted, and published dates. It has data. It has an abstract. Again, you'll have to discern. My sense is this is a scholarly peer-reviewed journal. So let's look at Omni, our database, which is on our front page. Click on the advanced search feature, and here's a search that I did. I searched for words, polar bear, or, and in this database, remember in Omni, it's kind of a goofy, but you have to type OR in capitals, capital O, capital R, like it's listed here, or the logic doesn't work. So I typed in polar bear as a phrase with quotation marks, like in Google, and if you do Shift-8, the asterisk after a word like polar bear or polar bears, it picks up any word with that root. Bear, bears, bearing, whatever word that is. So I look for polar bear or the genus species name. I look for articles as opposed to books because I'm looking for articles. I look for things in English. Almost everything we own is in English. Then I said, let's find out how many of these articles have any one or all these concepts. Environmental, or capitals, OR, contaminant, contaminants, metals, metal agents, whatever hyphenated words. Then I went back and I went, I'm only looking for 2 or 3 articles. I've got thousands of articles. So let's look for words in the titles of these particular articles as opposed to in the abstract or the citation or the full text of the article. I still had too many. So I said, let's find out if any of these articles have the word Canada or Canadien or Canadas or Canadian with the root Canada, Shift-8 asterisk, and I pulled up a number of articles as well. I looked at the articles, browsed whether they were for. I signed in and put them to one side by clicking on the tab and decided which ones were appropriate. I found this article. Again, here's the test. Is this article a peer-reviewed scholarly article? Has it been through that process? Does it have all the measures or observations of what a scholarly peer article is? This is, but again, you have to decide when you find it whether it meets the test. Citation machine. Sometimes articles and databases don't cite things, so sometimes you use other databases to get the citation because it creates it automatically. Again, do I include the DOI or not? Again, that's an APAism. Work with your TA seminar leader to know what an appropriate APA citation looks like. Here's Scholars Portal e-journals. This is a kind of a neat database. The other databases look through words and titles, abstracts, keywords by the author and keywords by the database, and sometimes additional words and keywords as well. Scholars Portal is a unique database because not only does it look through that information, but it actually looks in the full text of every article. So it'll find things that no other database can find. So I did a search. I says, let's find our research articles. That was one of the tabs. I want to find peer-reviewed. It works pretty good. And content that I can access. Polar bears and the article title. I came back and put the article title in. So I put those 2 words together. So I want to find this word in the abstract. So I put that to one side. I looked up these series of keywords using truncations anywhere in the database. I found 436 articles. 22 of them were on the first pages, sorted by reverse chronology order. But the neat thing about Scholars Portal e-journals is it's a cooperative database across all Ontario universities. Every time they find an article, they put it in this depository, and there's always a PDF that's downloadable as well. So browse. You may say, 22 articles on this first page. The first 100 look good. I found 23 look interesting. I'll put them to one side or download those and cite them as well. Citations don't come from this particular database, but you can use other databases to do that. The stress of Arctic warming on polar bears. That's fascinating. Actually, I've gone through 3 articles. Well, this is the best one so far. Is it scholarly peer reviewed? Again, that's the test you need to pass. So here's all the databases we choose. I showed you Omni, Google Scholar, Microsoft Academic. All of the databases work in the same way, including Scholars Portal, eJournals. What's my topic? How do I match my concepts for words that are similar, oring them, then adding concepts of different areas that may bring me to a small set of articles, limiting by date and limiting by scholarly peer-reviewed journals as well. Web of Science Complete. The reason why I suggest you search this database is because it's pretty good, because it's science, core science, and it covers everything as well. When you search all databases, it searches medical, non-medical, and core journals. So they're all journal articles. Sometimes you'll have letters, opinion pieces, bulletins, book reviews, but that's rare, and I'll show you how to work with that as well. So again, this is the final result of my search. I put in I ORed using truncation and phrasing here. And I ended it with other words that I've actually picked up while I've been doing this search. And topic means title, abstract, keywords, and subjects. I found too many, so I went back and says, I want polar bear or my genus species name in the title of the article. That was really important. Not to say that all articles on this subject have those words in the title, but I only need to find one or two or a number of articles. And at the end of it, I customized my date range, which is pretty easy to do. And I found for Canada a number of articles. And I clicked on search. And I modified my search and got down to a manageable size. I found 20 records. Is that too many, too few? Is 100 too many, too few? Is 200 too many, too few? Only you can discern that. But serendipity and browsing through articles is a research methodology, because you may trip across an article you wouldn't have found any other way and go, that's interesting. Or you may find one or two and mark them and put them to one side. So here's how your results. Not on that page, but you can filter your results by articles, which is great, and they do it well. You can use other filters as well, but I've used date, scholarly, and articles, and that's what I've done as well. So I go through these 20 articles. I read the titles, where they're from, how old they are, how many times they've been cited, meaning who's looked at them as well, and mark them, every database allows work, and put them into a list, and then I could call that list at the end of my searching. And I went through maybe 20 articles and found 5, and 3 were interesting. I could download, email those to myself. So here's a citation, kind of a lot of information. Title, authors, clickable links, the journal where they're from, the DOI, the Digital Object Identifier, which is a social insurance number for this particular article, the abstract, highlighted by the words that I was searching, the keywords the database produced, and it goes down and down and down. It has 46 references at the end of this article, and Web of Science actually includes those. And one person has cited this article since it was published in April 2020. Amazing, eh? So again, a Web of Science is a core database. It may not be the database you choose, but it probably will give you the best results. Here's an article, Polar Bear Denning Distribution in the Canadian Arctic. Received, accepted, and published. Looks like it's gone through the peer review process, meaning someone submitted the manuscript, someone reviewed it and said, okay, we're going to look at it. And then they said, if you make these changes, or here's some suggestions, we'll publish it. And they followed through and they did that as well. Peer reviewed. And it's a blind process as well. So it was actually published. It was here. Is this peer reviewed or not? It's a short note. Ooh. Is it too long, too short? You'll have to decide, okay? If you need help, get that help to discern whether it's a scholarly peer-reviewed journal article. Here's a citation I pulled from somewhere else. So here's notes. We're kind of winding down. Consult the Brock Library Science Research Guide. There's many reasons. Note the peer-reviewed tutorials and short videos. Look at those before you do your searching. Check out the writing and reciting resources to help you style writing. Summarizing research. Do not copy or plagiarize. You could probably murder, steal, or do something totally hideous at Brock University. But plagiarizing, meaning taking someone else's work without citing it, is probably the worst thing you can do. You don't want to meet your professor. You don't want to meet the associate or the faculty of math and sciences dean when they ask you, what were you thinking when you did that? If in doubt, cite. Don't plagiarize and don't copy. Note several variety article databases. Test and try several. I said Web of Science Complete is probably the best one, but use the appropriate filters. That helps you to limit your results. Be sure to use our Brock Library proxy links to search the databases and to download articles. Never pay for an article. It means you're outside our IP domain or our proxy server, and it doesn't know who you are or affiliated at Brock University. We have almost all the content available for you for free. But be flexible. Browse. Select several articles, mark, cite, and download the ones of your choice. Serendipity is still a research methodology. You may find a number of articles that may be of interest, but then you go, oh, this one's perfect. So again, we can help you move through that process. So you spend more time writing than you do searching for articles. SCIE 1P50, choosing a peer-reviewed article. Thanks for this opportunity. All the best with this neat assignment. Here's a kind of neat photo. I use Upsplash. There's many places to get valid, verified, without plagiarizing or copying videos and things like that, but pictures in Upsplash are kind of neat as well. So that's the end of the presentation, but I'm actually going to do a search for you as well. So give me a second while I move out of here. I'm going to bring up the Brock Library page. So here we are on the Brock Library page. Lots of things to look at, lots of things to do. Our news, search about the library, getting help with tutorials and videos. And on this research help is also, let me do this as well, is chat with the librarian. So you click on here, it asks you, what do you want to ask? And it's a real-time response. And here's the hours that it's open as well, if you want to use chat. It's kind of neat as well. Let's go back to the Brock Library homepage, which is my homepage. Let's click on research guides, guides by subject and faculty, and other tools that you can look at. Here's the Ask the Chat Librarian right there ready for you to use it. Science. Here again, my mugshot, email, book a consultation, which are live clickable links, resources in terms of slides and the video that we're looking at right now. But let's actually go to the articles. We're going to go down, and we could use any one of these databases, but I'm going to use Web of Science Complete. Prompts up and comes up. It actually adds, because I was searching for this as well, but these are live clickable links, so you can look for things in topics. You can add a row or subtract a row, meaning you want to add additional things. You can get rid of things as well. You can put in words and syntax, but remember or in concepts, shift 8 for truncations, and phrases, just like Google, you search in quotation marks as well. So let's search and see what we get here. I got 51 articles using the document types that you certainly want to limit to just articles, scholarly, and rural refined. Okay. I set my date limits here, but you can click on what's available here and choose or exclude some. That's always great as well. So let's go back. So you can always go back to the search button as well. As I was moving forward and I did search, and you can change the topics or add or subtract terms, I clicked on items that were of interest, and see how it puts it into the mark list here. So until you actually leave the database, it marks those records and puts them to one side. So browsing, oh, this looks interesting. Citation, I read the title, the abstract, doesn't tell you it's peer reviewed. We sense it is, it has all the indicators, but anytime you can find it at Brock, it takes you through a few screens and it actually brings up the PDF. Sometimes it's more than 2 or 3, and sometimes it finds it right away. But again, you can always go back to search, add items to your marked records list, but when you're finished, look at your records. Again, you may have 20 of these things, and you can manage these. You can save them if you have an account, and you can register for an account, but here they all are here. You can rank them and sort them. You can look at them individually. You can send them by email. And so what it does is it's asking you, what do you want to do? Email, download, or export these sorts of things. Just follow the guidelines that are here as well. But at any particular time, you can bring up the articles and find them and cite them as well. I'm going to click on Home, and sometimes when you find an article, you go, since it doesn't cite it, you click on Copy. I'm going to go Home, and Omni is our database on the front. Use the Advanced Search option. It asks you to put in words. So I'm going to put in this particular article title. Okay, I know it's a title. And instead of a book, it's an article. And I know it's in the title because I want to find it and see if it's in our library through this database. It is. Nice thing is when you bring up this article in Omni, same article, click through it and find it in our library. It tells you the link that it's listed here. You can email it directly. Here's the permalink that tells you how to get through it through the Brock proxy link, so you can get back to it as well. Other tools that you can use, citation is actually pretty good. You can flip styles, you can cut and paste and copy this citation and just change it if you want to as well. So Omni is not only a database you can use to find results, but I use it to find citations because the data it produces is actually pretty good. There you go. Good luck with this assignment. We can help. Make sure you ask. Hopefully this was valuable. So all the best with all you'd have to do.